Let's work on the next phase of the basic typography assignment, and we'll go to where our file is located, and we'll just double click and open it up in Illustrator. And one thing that happens is sometimes you misplace where you save something, or you accidentally saved it in a place you're unfamiliar with. And if that's the case, if you can't find it that way, you can go to Adobe Illustrator, and sometimes you're able to go to Open Recent Files and open it right there. So if you're using a good naming convention, you'll know that this is your file. Okay, so if you're using that format Untitled 1, Untitled 2, you don't know which one is which. This one you have it all named out. It's named Basic Typography, and you know this one is yours. So what we need to do is continue with this page here. We're going to do baseline shift now, and type on a path and type on a circle, and you can just look at the source layer to see what you need to make, and then on the typography layer, the one that you're actually creating, you can see where you left off. So let's go to the source, and I'm going to zoom in on this area down here for baseline shift. And what we can do is just grab one that's already been labeled with everything. I'll do Alt click and drag, and just drag it down here into this area that has some space. You'll see me press the space bar, and it brings up this hand tool, and you're able to move around on the document. See that? And if you can't remember, the space bar brings up the hand tool. You can go over here and just click on the hand tool and move it around. I like using the shortcuts to get through all these tools, like the hand tools, the space bar. Right now we're on the black arrow tool. You can press the letter A and it takes you to the white arrow tool. P is the pen tool. T is the type tool. Z is the zoom tool or magnifying glass. All these have shortcuts that you can use. Okay, so now I'm going to push V, which is the black arrow tool, and I'm going to look at what we need to do here. And what we need to do is make a baseline shift. And we'll look at the source layer to see what we did here. And I want you to kind of indicate how you shifted this upward. And the one thing I've noticed on our descender is we didn't indicate where that descender fell down. So let me just go back here and make a dotted line. I'm actually holding Alt and Shift to make a copy of that line. Shift helps me keep it aligned with the one that I've copied from, and I can take this and make this 50% black here on the CMYK scale. So now we have a dotted line to kind of show our descender part. So we can take this same gray dotted line, and we'll use this one for baseline shift. And what we can do, instead of shifting the whole word, because sometimes I see students just lift up the word and they call that baseline shift. That's actually not baseline shift. What we can do is take the type tool, select some of the letters, and we're going to open up the type palette. And that's going to be under Window, Type, and then Character. So this is our typography control. And the one thing we can't see is baseline shift. I'm going to show you these other ones. This one is kerning, this one is tracking, this one's the size of the font, this one is leading. And in Microsoft Words, that is called line spacing. Adobe still calls it leading. Was a real old-fashioned term back when they used lead type to do typesetting. Right here we can click on this and say show options, and we can see more options on the type palette. And then what you can do to keep this type palette open all the time is drag it right over here, and as soon as it lights up blue at the bottom of this palette dock, you can release it and it puts your type right there. Luckily for us, it put the type, the paragraph, and another feature here, open type. So let's continue on here. We have these 3 letters selected, and here is baseline shift. It's the one that kind of looks like what we're going to do here. So here's the baseline, and then here's your baseline shift. And what we'll do is we'll arrow up and see how it's shifting up these 3 letters that we had selected. So that is our baseline shift. And we'll take this dotted line here to kind of indicate where the baseline shift occurred, right there. And then I'm going to take this arrow, make a copy of it. We'll shrink it down to fit in here into the baseline shift. Now the one thing, it's not going to be an arrow on both heads, because it's on both ends, it's an arrow upward. So we can go to our stroke palette and we'll take one of these off and say none. There we go. And we can take this labeling here, the descender labeling. I'll click on this. I'll hold shift and click on this. Alt click and drag. And we'll call this baseline shift. I can use the direct select tool to edit this line. I'm going to move that up so the dot's kind of in the middle. So something like that. This is baseline shift. We shifted up these letters. Okay, so we got baseline shift. Now we need to do type on a path and type on a circle. So what we need to do now is we're going to learn how to use some basic pen tool. I'm going to go to the pen tool here, and I'm just going to click. So I just click and let go of the mouse. On the second click, I'm going to click and then keep the mouse button down and just drag, and that makes a curve on that line. Now I'm going to click over here, and this handlebar here indicates where this curve is going to be here. So what you can do is, if you want to, you can use the direct select tool and you can edit this bezier curve using these handlebars. Okay, but I like to just take it, click again, drag up or down depending on how I want to do the curve. Something like that.